Fix, it's Gecko, and today I'm bringing you a very, very late top books of 2020. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 13, 14. So, I'll make it a top 15. Because, actually I might as well just do my top 20 because I tried filming this a while ago and I ran out of storage space. And then executive dysfunction snuck in and I was just, I'm not doing this again. But I watched Clint's over at Reads. Anyway, his link will be in the description. His video of his TBR with his boyfriend, and I was like, energy, I want to film. And I was like, well, what do I film? And I was like, well, might as well do the best books. So there should be 20 if I can't count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, there's 19. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So what's the... I am very confused. Oh, there it is. I'm silly. So, I deleted a whole bunch of apps. My phone should have storage for days, which means I've got to re-download the apps when I'm done. But that's in the future. I can do that when I sleep. So, these were in an order. Then I decided to do it down to a top 10 and realised that wasn't fair because there was many books was top 15 and yeah. So, they're mainly in an order from the top 10. The top 10 are in right order. We'll just go with these. And when I say top 20, I mean, I don't mean these books are bad. They're on the best books I've read. They're just not the top 3, which blew me away. So, I'm a mess. Let's get into it. Number 20 on my list is The Flat Share by Beth O'Leary. Didn't think I was going to like this because it's an adult romance. But it was really big last year, so I was like, I'll read it. It's about these two people that share a flat. But they've never met. They don't just share a flat though, they share a bed. And they start leaving each other notes to sort of say, oh, I've done this. Like, Tiff breaks. So she leaves some stuff for Leon, and Leon says thank you, but then they start flirting. And then they, you know, it's a romance. It was really good actually, I was not expecting to enjoy it. So I was very happy with this one. And I now own the other book by Beth O'Leary, which is called The Switch. I should be reading it, but I'm not currently because I'm so behind. Oh well, anyway, amazing book. Sorry about that. I told you, I'm a mess. Number 19, which I feel bad for saying because it makes it seem like it's really bad. Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, Dark Academia, Secret Societies, everything I love. It was amazing. I read part of this by candlelight. We had a power cut just over a year ago, which is when I read this. It was one of the books I read January of last year. And honestly, I think it made the experience better for me, which made me enjoy it more. And this book has so many trigger warnings. But about 150 pages in, I was like, what? And then the power cut happened, so I was sitting there reading it by candlelight, and it was just amazing. And I can't wait for the sequel, but we're going to have to wait a while for it. So, but so excited to read it when it happens. Number 18 on my list is Seven and Dove by Shelby Mahurin. This I was not expecting to like. This is the September Fairy Loot for 2019. As you can see, it's fine. Is it one of the ones that has and it has exclusive art under the dust? Totally spoilers. This is about a witch who has to marry a witch hunter. and it's this kind of like new adult romance and how they can't find each other. It's, you know, new adult, young adult. Either way, basically they have a forced marriage, and if he finds out she's a witch, they both die, kind of thing. Yes, a witch and a witch hunter bound in holy matrimony. There was only one way such a story could end: a stake and a match. Now, this is set in the 17th century France. I believe it's 17th century, so I know it's historical in France. And I'm really excited to read the sequel, which I've had a while. But this was really good. I went into it, it was like, I'll read it, I won't like it, I'll DNF it, I can get rid of it, and I can go on to all the other books I need to read. I loved it. The sequel, by the way, very excited. Number 17 on my list is If I'm Being Honest by Emily Wibberley and Austin Siegmund Broker. This is a Taming of the Shrew retelling set in a posh high school in, I want to say, California? I don't know. Possibly California. Yes, one of the things mentioned was Los Angeles. So, basically, she's as described as a bitch, and the person she's in love with happens to see her being a bitch, stops being friends with her, and to win him back, she goes on an apology tour, basically, but ends up falling for someone else who likes her just the way she is, and it's really nice. I can't wait to read Taming of the Shrew. This has a lot of horror references in it as well, which is really cute. This was the Spring into Reading-a-thon book for last year, I want to say. Well, it was last year. Which was on Completely Mel's channel with Clint, and we had a live show with the authors. I believe Ali from Hardback Hoarder was also part of the live show, and it was amazing. This is a really good book. I can't wait to read. Ooh. Always Never Yours. And the other two, because they've released 2 more now. They are a husband and wife YA romancy author duo, and I love it. Number 16. We're going away from all of that lovely pop Ninth House. Is Thunderhead by Neil Shusterman, which is the sequel to Scythe, so I'm going to talk about Scythe. Do not spoil this one, or Scythe. Basically, this is a YA dystopia set in the future where there's no death. And in order to keep the population down, people are called Scythes, and they're ordained and trained into controlling death. And this is the second book in that trilogy. I have the last one. I have the first one as well, but I lent the first one out. But in true fashion, the last one's huge. Very huge. So that'd be a fun one to get through at some point. Number 14, 19, 16, 17, 19. Number 15. Wicked As You Wish by Rince Pecco. This is the first book in the 100 Names for Magic series, which came out March last year, but I got an ARC from Fairyloot. It's an alternate history with titles that are perfect for middle grade, as we will find out with the middle grade on the book, in which these idiots are also Avalon's last line of defence, kind of thing. I love it. And another one, give you another example, in which the wife, which is in inverted commas, isn't having any of that. This was a really fun alternate history with the sole survivor of the Avalon royal family having to live in America. There's some Filipino in this. Can't remember the language. I don't think it's called Filipino though. It's a very good book. I'm really excited for the next one. and I don't know anything. I haven't heard anything about the next one at all, and I follow Rin on Twitter, so I should probably look that up. And of course, we're 10 minutes into the video, I'm not even halfway through yet. Number 14. Possibly one of the most amazing things I'll ever read. This book made me cry. This is The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller, and this is the Bloomsbury Modern Classics edition. You're wondering why it's a bit different? Heart-shaped bow and arrow. This follows the story of Achilles and Patroclus during their part in the Iliad, which is the Trojan War and their love story and how that goes. Very beautiful story. The war goes on forever, but it was really beautiful, and now I just want more Achilles and Patroclus content. Always, I loved it. Number 1, 2, 3, 4. 13. I swear I can count. Is Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna Maguire. This is a very short book. It's from the Wayward Children series, set at a school for children who have been to other worlds. So it's like the aftermath of a portal fantasy, basically. There's a few LGBT characters in this book. Most of the cast, as far as I remember. Basically, this girl, I remember her, Nancy, she's sent there to fix her, but it's not actually to fix her, it's to make her realise that what she's seen is real, basically. I'm sorry if I move around a lot, it's because McGonagall's kind of turned this into her room, and it's completely uncomfortable now. But yes. The aftermath of a portal fantasy, and I really want to continue the series, but they're so small, but because they're hardcover they're more expensive, and it's getting me to justify spending over a tenner on a book that's that narrow, and my library doesn't have any of them. So hopefully I'll continue them. They're very short, but I genuinely do recommend all of these books. This one was recommended to me by Sasha from The Wild Sasha. I will leave her link below as well. As with Mel and Ali as well. Any booktuber or YouTuber or streamer that I've mentioned in this video, because there was a streamer that recommended me a book and it was amazing. Talk about that next. Anyone I mention, their links will be in the description. So the book that was recommended to me by a Twitch streamer, The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. I can't really describe this book. It's a journey. That's all I can really say about it. You go on a journey when you read this book. Is it the best book ever written? No. Is it hard to read? Yes. If you understand it, and I'm not saying that in a condescending way, but if you really get what the meaning behind this book is, you will love it. If you aren't meant to understand this book, which is fine, you won't get it. It's a very small book too. This is my mum's copy. But yes, Che, my name's Che over on Twitch, recommended it to me, and it was amazing, and I'm so thankful he did. The cats are awake. Which one are you? Oh, Smog. So this should be number 10. Yes, this is number 10. This is Arusha and the End of Time, which was the, I can't remember what month it was, book pick for Mythic. With Ashley and I've forgotten the other girl's name. I will leave her Instagram there though, and I'll leave her Instagram linked if it's still up, because I know because she's doing her masters, she stopped like being so active on social media. But Ashley I'll definitely link, because Ashley's wonderful and we love Ashley. This is a Hindu myth retelling of the Pandava brothers, and as with Wicked As You Wish, the titles are fantastic. Like, a trip to the grocery store seems, really good. Can you give me better hair on the way out? I love it. I genuinely enjoy this. The TV started it. Attack! Arusha is a liar. That's the premise of this book, actually. This girl lies and ends up nearly destroying the world. And she has to save everyone. But, yeah. This was the first book in the Rick Riordan Presents series, which was absolutely an amazing thing that he did by using his name to get these authors of middle grade myth retellings published by Own Voices authors, and this one was really good. So I've got the second one. It's downstairs right now. But anyway, now we're into the top 10. So that must have been number 11. I know what I'm doing. Next on my list, Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. This is the last, as far as I know, look into this part of the Solitaire verse, which I'm calling it. It's not officially called that. Heartstopper verse, maybe? This is when Nick's going to uni and Charlie feels like he might be left behind, which is a kind of a relatable feeling for people who have been in relationships with someone who's a year above or below you, and you have to go, and it's like, do you split up or do you stay together? Do you do a long distance thing? And this was originally published as an ebook. It was published last year as a book, but with Alice's illustrations, because they illustrate Heartstopper, and this is one of them. They also have This Winter, which is over there. Didn't quite make the list because I had to shrink it down to get a number that wasn't like all the books I read last year, to have a thing. But they're both amazing, and I'm super glad to have these books because Alice Oseman's amazing. And if you look on the back, all the books or the novels I should say, have the same cover designs, and they are amazing. The new UK editions, anyway. Number 9 is... Yes, number 9. Illuminate by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. A book I said I wanted to read last year, and it was the last book I read last year, and I loved it, and now I have the other two on Audible and in physical form. This is a book told in files, and it follows these two characters called Ezra Mason and Katie Grant as their colony is blown up, and how they survive. Or don't survive. It was a very interesting read, and I dropped it. And this is how you know I should probably edit my videos, but I don't. Which is why they're a mess, and also 5 years long. But yes, very good book. Thoroughly recommend it. If the format is putting you off, I recommend using the audiobook and reading along at the same time. Got me through so much. And another book that made me cry. So there's that. Number 8, The Other People by C.J. Tudor. This is a supernatural thriller about a guy who sees his little girl in the back of a car he doesn't recognise, and he never sees her again. But he never gives up looking, even when everyone else in his life, the police, everyone, says she's dead. There's another character called Fran. Her and her daughter Alice are running from someone. They're running from the other people. And it's about how they meet up and how that transpires. It's a very good book. I knew on page 10 it was going to be a 5-star, so I had to, include it. It was incredible. Number 7. Another book by Amy Goldman and Jay Kristoff. I really love this duo. And this is the second book in the Aurora cycle. I don't know how many books there are going to be of this one. This is told in prose, though. This is a space opera of a bunch of space cadets who have graduated the academy and have basically... Tyler Jones was meant to be the squad leader of one of the best squadrons, the Aurora Legion, the Aurora Legion have ever seen. But instead of attending his graduation ceremony and getting the creme de la creme, he ends up having to save a girl and gets the stragglers. And this is him trying to save the girl from his own people. And there's loads of different races of aliens, all species. It's wonderful, and a cute romance that's starting, which I quite liked. Number 6. I will get the hang of this eventually. Cinderella is Dead by Callan Bayron. So this is a Cinderella retelling set 200 years in the future of Cinderella. It's about this young lesbian who wants nothing more than to marry her best friend, but instead she has to go to this ball, put on the dress, be chosen by a man, and it's basically she doesn't want to do it. So she teams up with Constance, who is one of the final surviving relative of Cinderella, and together they take down the patriarchal society. And I love it, and I pre-ordered the next book. I don't think it's related to this, because this book had a beautiful conclusion, and it was amazing. I own the US hardcover and the UK paperback. I can't currently find the US hardcover, but it's beautiful, and this cover is stunning and shiny, so that's fun. Top 5 now. This is a fun one for 22 minutes in, because I'm a mess. Number 5, we have Vengeful by V. Schwab. Another huge sequel. This is the sequel to Vicious, and as such I will only talk about Vicious and a little bit of synopsis for this. Vicious follows these two best friends, Victor Vale and Eli Ever, who discover that the secret to gaining superpowers is to control your own death and resurrection. The story of Vicious picks up 5 years after they've done this, where one of them is escaping prison, and the other one's been on a 5-year killing spree of all the other extraordinary people with superpowers. So, this follows 5 years after the end of Vicious. This follows Marcella and Serena, and this is their story, as well as what happens after Victor and Eli's meeting in Vicious. This was a really good book. A lot of people didn't like it as much as Vicious. It took me a little bit longer to get into, but the thing is with these books, they're told in you'll have today, 4 years ago, last night, a month ago, 4 years ago, and it'll jump all over the place with the timeline. But that really works for this, because it's a sci-fi superhero story, and I loved it. But it's not just it's not the Avengers, it's not Marvel, it's not DC, it's not that kind of superhero story. It's quite different, and I didn't feel like I was reading a comic book, which is not to say sci-fi isn't superhero stories that aren't like that. Like Renegades felt like a comic book, but in a fun way. This felt completely different, and it was amazing, and I fully recommend Vicious. and Ventral. And there's gonna, as far as I'm aware, there's gonna be a third one at some point. But who knows? With the shop, could be a while. You know. Number 4, God's Grave by J. Kristoff, the sequel to Nevernight. Book 2 of the Nevernight Chronicles, which has 3 books, so they call it the Nevernight Trilogy with the Chronicles. This is an adult fantasy following a girl called Mia Corvair and her shadow companion shaped like a cat called Mr. Kindly, and he is the most cantankerous arsehole you'll ever meet. And there is also a dog. I can't remember the dog's name. Basically, her parents were murdered, her family was murdered, and she's training up at an assassin school to kill them, basically. This one was very dark, and Mia will be forced to choose between her loyalties and her revenge. It's a very good book. I flew through this. I fly through J. Kristoff's books. Absolutely incredible. Well, my final 3 now. Woo-hoo. Number 3 was Girl Serpent Thorn by Melissa Barshadast. This is a Persian fairy tale with a bisexual protagonist, which was really fun. Sometimes the princess is the monster. It's a very beautiful book with green edges, and of course, in fairy fashion, there are character art on the side. I can't remember which box this came in, but it's signed by the author and it's absolutely stunning. I read this super quickly. I couldn't put it down. And it smells of the was it bath salts or candle that we got in that box too, this fairy box. So yes, just a queer Persian fairy tale, and I loved it. And it's all about a girl finding her own power, her own strength. And it's really good. Number 2. I remember my 2019 book of the year. This may surprise you of the order this was in, because I have tabbed this book up to no end. And that book is Loveless by Alice Oseman. She only made the 2nd spot this year. Also, when I say she, they, as far as I'm aware, Alice uses both she and they pronouns currently. So I'll use both interchangeably as they would like. Now this book is an Own Voices Aro Ace story, which is asexual aromantic, or aromantic asexual, whichever order. She doesn't know what love is. She's read fanfiction, she loves the idea of falling in love, but she never has those feelings for a person. And she's kind of stuck waiting for it. When she goes to university, she, the world expands. And even though I've never been to university, I think you can say I related to this book a fair bit. I also have a signed edition. I have 2 copies of this book. I really loved it. And even though these 2 aren't in the same series, this is a standalone. They look absolutely gorgeous together. But yeah, so basically she goes to find her own identity at uni, and it's absolutely amazing. Good story of self-discovery. But number 1 on my list was a book that means more to me than Tabby McGee over here. And that book is Cemetery Boys by Aidan Thomas. It is a trans Latinx ghost love story. And it's the first time I've read a trans masculine character in a book. And as someone who is trans masculine, little nods to it, and I was like, oh, I relate, I'm relating to this. I didn't have any taps, otherwise this one would be tapped up too. But it's absolutely beautiful. It follows Yadriel and Julian and Yadriel's family as they're leading up to Dias de Muertos? I don't speak Spanish, I'm sorry. But basically, the Day of the Dead celebrations. This book is in equal parts Spanish and English, which is fantastic. But the way Aidan Thomas writes, you can kind of work out what's being said in Spanish. So you don't need to read Spanish to understand the book. Basically, Yadriel's family are having a hard time accepting him as a bruja, which is the masculine form of bruja, which is a witch. And the neutral word, according to this book, is brujex. So the brujex are having a hard time finding him as a bruja. So he goes on a journey to prove that he's a man. And basically, they can sense when one of their family members dies. And also, this is all on here, so it's not a spoiler. But to prove it, he tries to find the ghost of his murdered cousin Miguel. So, when he accidentally summons Julian's spirit, things take a different turn. And Julian will only move on if Yads can make sure his friends are okay. And over the course of the 3 or 4 days, Julian spends all his time connected to his tether, which is his Saint Jude, I believe, pendant that he always wore. And because Yads has it, Julian has to follow him. And they spend all their time together, and at the end of it, Yadriel doesn't want Julian to leave, and Julian doesn't want to leave either. So this book follows a lot of important topics, especially religious topics with the Dias de Muertos. I listened to the audiobook for this and I still can't say it right. Which, by the way, the audiobook won Audiobook of the Year, so that's amazing. Non-binary narrator, beautiful Spanish. I was in love with the audiobook, even though I'd physically read it as soon as I got it. I got the audiobook, and I just... This is relaxation, but also very gripping audiobook, very gripping actual book. Not that audiobooks aren't books, but you know. So, there are children in the street. So anyway, beautiful book. It debuted on the New York Times bestseller list, the first trans or non-binary author to ever do so. And it was amazing. This book came out October 1st in the UK, September 1st in the US. And I read it the second I got it, which was a couple of days after because there was a delivery delay. But yes, I would 100% recommend this book. In fact, one of my best friends has got it on her Kindle, and I'm so excited to see what she thinks of it because I love it. I'm very excitable over my books. But yes, that's it. That was my top 20. And this video is really long. If you stuck through till the end, thank you. You're amazing. Have you read any of these? Let's talk. That would be fantastic. And you know what? I can make people watch this. Actually, I can't make people do anything. But, good idea. The worst book of 2020, just quickly. Also, quite frankly, one of the most hilarious things I've ever read, because it was so bad. And I think in a book, in a video rather, with so much positivity, you need that little bit of negativity, you know? That was Jonas by Eda Maguire. And yes, I'm going to read the other 3. This book was so bad. And I've owned this book for 10 years. 10 years. And it was garbage. But it was also wonderfully amazing. It was so wonderfully, amazingly bad. I just... Where is it? I took a picture of the page. And I can't find it now. It's on my phone. But basically... Is this one? No. Basically, it's not good. The writing, everything. It's like It's genuinely awful. Basically it's about this girl called Dorina, whose boyfriend's died, and then 3 other people died. And she sees her dead boyfriend everywhere. She sees the others who died. And she's got to find out if they're real or not. And because of the series name of The Beautiful Dead, you know it's real. And it's basically her trying to help them move on. And this, it was like, oh yes, this is the one you will read after you read Twilight. And it's like, this cover illustration was from someone on DeviantArt. Like, come on. I just noticed that. Holy hell. What was 2004? 2009. I've had it over 10 years. Yeah, I'd had it 11 years when I read it. Yeah, I'd had it 11 years, so I've had this book 12 years. Almost. Whenever it came out. Holy crap. I'm going to read the rest of them. I'm going to do a series review. Probably going to roast the hell out of it. But it was bad. It was like Wattpad, sub-level Wattpad bad. There was some amazing fiction on Wattpad. There's some amazing fiction. This is the bad stuff. It probably should have stayed on a fanfiction website. Because, you know, even on fanfiction websites you can write your own original content. This was just not good. And the sad thing is, the author apparently has a PhD in English literature. So, yeah. That's fun. Now I'm gonna have to rearrange my books so I can take the thumbnail and upload this video that's almost 40 minutes long. Seriously, if you stuck with me through this entire video, wow. I'm a mess, so you're something about you. Seriously, you are a star. But yes. And I'm gonna put the worst like that. I'm gonna try and like size them like that so it doesn't look as weird, but of course, because they're in the order that I did them in, not size order. Yes. So, thanks for watching. The next video will probably be a fairy loop, as I promised in the last video, back in December. The next video wouldn't be a fairy loop. Took over a month, but it's there. So thank Clint for that. But yes. Thank you for watching. Loki's gonna walk around my floor. And yeah, have a great day.